The Red Bull team principal has been quite outspoken about the stewarding decisions during the Montreal Grand Prix, particularly regarding the penalty given to Yuki Tsunoda on the final day of practice sessions. Passing Oscar Piastri's damaged vehicle proved extremely costly for Yuki's race prospects, as officials handed him a 10-position grid penalty for the Sunday competition. With this situation causing widespread frustration throughout the Formula One community toward the FIA, is there potential for the governing organization to implement changes, and could they establish more uniform sanctions for competitors who operate vehicles in hazardous conditions on the circuit? The sanction that Tsunoda received during Saturday's practice session was extraordinary, to put it mildly. While he did indeed overtake during a red flag period, the track conditions made it impossible for him to safely remain behind Piastri without endangering his own vehicle. Oscar Piastri was driving with a punctured wheel around the entire track, clearly presenting a significant hazard to other competitors. A comparable incident occurred with Sergio Pérez last season during a race weekend when he drove back to the pit area with a damaged rear wing. The officials penalized the Red Bull driver with a 3-position grid penalty for the subsequent race in Barcelona, yet in this year's situation, the FIA determined that Yuki was responsible for his overtaking decision. Christian Horner expressed his dissatisfaction, and when discussing the FIA penalty against Tsunoda and how it compromised his race before it properly began, the Red Bull team leader remarked, "Yuki was nailed on Saturday for making an overtake, and then a few cars overtook whilst there were marshals on the track after the race, so one would expect some form of consistency again. Once his tires cleaned up, I thought he actually did a decent job, and you can see how hard overtaking is here, so I thought Yuki should take some confidence from it." Horner is referencing the fact that officials investigated several drivers for overtaking under safety car conditions after Sunday's race conclusion, yet none received penalties. Even Tsunoda himself anticipated seeing sanctions applied to competitors ahead of him, which might have elevated him to 5th position had all noted drivers been penalized, but consistent application of rules seems to be challenging for the FIA. This represents another point of criticism that the governing body must address. The logical question seems straightforward. How can you penalize Tsunoda for overtaking during red flag conditions when the vehicle in question was moving extremely slowly and outside the racing trajectory? Ultimately, the Japanese driver acted according to what he believed was safest in that moment. He avoided wasting crucial seconds behind a severely compromised car and potentially damaging his own vehicle. Considering that Piastri's car could easily have scattered debris across the track, it would have been extremely dangerous for Tsunoda to follow directly behind and risk becoming stranded on the circuit due to the slowness of the car ahead. Imagine if Piastri's vehicle suddenly stopped and Tsunoda was trailing closely. Not only would the Japanese competitor be forced to halt as well, but he would risk being struck from behind. One cannot fault Yuki for his actions because he arguably made the correct decision. While rules must be respected, if the FIA truly enforced regulations consistently, they might have also penalized Piastri for operating a severely damaged vehicle on the circuit rather than pulling aside and waiting for marshals to remove it. Tsunoda's explanation for moving far to the right perfectly clarifies his rationale for his actions on track. Elaborating about the 10-position grid penalty from his perspective, the Japanese driver explained, "I saw Piastri's tire was going sideways, and I thought the tire was going to fly away. Obviously, I knew that, so I went far right. I checked the car ahead of Oscar and the car behind myself, make sure there's no one. I went far left, the opposite way, to overtake him with a sensible speed, which was 170 kilometers per hour, half the speed of the speed we normally drive, and I got a penalty. So having a 10-place penalty is ridiculous for me. I don't know what they want me to do. For me, it was just hoping that debris won't hit me." As one might expect, Tsunoda's race prospects were severely compromised as he was eliminated in Q2. This meant he was positioned to start at the very back with Lawson and Gasly taking penalties for modifying their vehicles under parc fermé conditions. According to Horner, Tsunoda would likely have achieved points had this penalty not occurred. As he commented, if Tsunoda had started in his normal grid position where he qualified, he would have scored points. I think he must try to avoid what other drivers have done and gone down the road of trying to adopt Max's setup and to go for his own route and work on what suits his style and needs, and I think he's made some progress. Unfortunately for Yuki, that progress might prove insufficient to secure his long-term future with Red Bull. Horner acknowledged that 2026 remains uncertain, and given current circumstances, perhaps the remainder of 2025 will be questionable for Tsunoda as well. Isaac Hadjar has demonstrated exceptional talent, being recognized alongside Antonelli as Rookie of the Year, and Red Bull has contemplated promoting him to partner Verstappen. If Tsunoda cannot improve his performance soon, we might witness significant changes throughout the Red Bull driver lineup, beginning with the senior team, and pressure has intensified in recent weeks. Helmut Marko confirmed that Tsunoda now has identical equipment to Max following the Imola incident, eliminating any potential excuses. Discussing how Tsunoda must perform exceptionally well to retain his position, Marko stated, "Yuki now gets the same parts as Max after his crash in Imola. We couldn't race with two identical cars. Now we hope he can learn something from Max. Everything is hard, but Yuki must finally score points. In case he doesn't, I think you already know where this matter is going to be addressed in the driver's pool." Red Bull certainly has abundant talent available. Many drivers would eagerly accept an opportunity to compete alongside Verstappen, but from our current perspective, it appears the RB21 isn't truly the improvement we anticipated when criticizing Pérez for his underwhelming performances. This applies to Hadjar as well, as the French driver now has the greatest opportunity for promotion to replace Yuki after his impressive season start established him as the highest-placed Red Bull-affiliated driver in the championship standings, apart from Max Verstappen. Speaking further about a potential role at Red Bull and how he would welcome such an opportunity, despite feeling somewhat unprepared, Hadjar remarked, "I don't feel ready for the seat yet, but I'd take the offer if it came to me because I am a fighter. I am just curious. What drives me is fighting against the best in the world. To have Max as a teammate, I would learn so much. I do get on with Max. He's a very chill guy. He gets on with everyone as long as it's fine on the track." This sentiment wasn't shared by Peter Bayer, who essentially implored Red Bull not to remove this talent from their team. Currently, the Faenza-based organization apparently intends to retain the French driver throughout 2026 before considering moves elsewhere, likely culminating in signing Lindblad. However, Red Bull's ambitions are more immediate, and accelerating plans to bring Arvid to Racing Bulls while promoting Hadjar alongside Max would significantly disrupt the Italian squad's strategy. The situation appears increasingly precarious for Yuki, because unlike Lawson, if Red Bull demotes him, he likely won't receive a position with Racing Bulls. Should the Austrian organization decide Hadjar represents a superior option for 2025, and the first year under new regulations in 2026, Tsunoda would probably need to seek opportunities elsewhere. Currently, Cadillac appears to be the only team offering vacancies, with their focus primarily on experienced drivers like Ocon and Bottas, though awareness of Tsunoda's availability might alter their perspective. Nevertheless, the key issue highlighted here concerns the inconsistent application of rules by the FIA. While Tsunoda certainly faces challenges from a performance standpoint, the governing organization clearly needs substantial improvement as well. Considering all these factors, what are your thoughts regarding Tsunoda's penalty? And more importantly, do you believe Piastri should have also received sanctions with his tire oscillating dangerously while Yuki was compelled to overtake? Share your opinions in the comments section below. And afterward, be sure to click on the video appearing on your screen now.